Curtis A reached out to me, said make a theme song for my show. Said alright, just give me all the details, man. And my homie says he don't know. Well, if you're gonna pay me big bucks, cause I might should have something to say. He said, you know what I bring, I'm the customizing king, nothing else matters anyway. So is he gonna have guests? I don't know. Is he gonna go live? I don't know. What time will it be? What will you see? I'm pretty much in the dark, but I can guarantee he'll be customizing action figures, getting paint all on his fingers. It's art by Akerman. It's art by Akerman. Tips and tricks and conversation, sharing his gift with every nation. It's art by Akerman. Art by Akerman. You best get ready, cause now it's time for Art by Akerman.
Howdy, folks. We are back, and we're going to talk a little bit about customizing today by adding capes or soft goods. A lot of folks out there making excellent soft goods, including my wife. We've got did a How'd They Do That with her that is in the playlist for the How'd They Do That, talking about how she makes soft goods. Plenty of other folks out there doing great stuff. One of them I wanted to highlight today is called GPSLot on eBay. And they've got all kinds of different soft goods that you can use for legions, for other figures. I'm going to talk about some for some DC characters. But first, I brought on a friend who I know is very big on GPSLots, who would like to kind of join in the conversation. So welcome to the stage, Joe Gonsalves. What's up, Joe?
Hey, Curtis. Hey, everybody at home. How's it going?
We've now got you on 2 episodes of Art by Akerman.
It took a minute, but we're getting there.
Finally working around your schedule a little bit. So
right. There we go.
So I had seen, Tony's Figs on Instagram and YouTube. It's Tony_Figs, by the way. Has done some great work with adding some soft goods to some McFarlane figures, and it really transforms them. I mean, it takes them from, looking like a, retail, $25 figure to something a lot nicer. And the ones that he was using were these GPSLot capes, and I really hadn't had too much experience with that. But I bought some and just got them in, and I've got a slideshow that I'll show on some ones that I put on. But when I was talking to you about it, you said that, you've used them quite a bit. So
yes.
I wanted to kind of get you on and kind of talk about like your take on their soft goods and anything that you would have that you want to share with folks on, just kind of transforming the look of a character by adding soft goods.
Yeah. Well, I've been purchasing for them for many years. They've been on eBay, and it just, I can't even remember what the first one was, but you just do a search for soft goods and a lot of different sellers came up. But the big appeal to me, I'm in Nevada and they were in California. And so I was like, well, I'll give it a try. And it only takes a few days. They don't make them on demand. They're pre-made.
Yeah.
So when you order, they ship really fast. And
I'm in Missouri, and I ordered a set of 3, and I think within like 4 days they were here. I mean, it was pretty quick.
Yeah. They ship really fast, and it only takes a couple days to get to where I live in Nevada. So that made me a big fan of them right off of the bat.
Yeah.
And then they have an enormous selection. It's not just Mythic Legions or McFarlane. They have all kind of Dragon Ball Z and a bunch of anime figures that I've never even heard of and things like that. So
I was gonna purchase from them a while back. I was looking for a few specific capes, and one of them they were out of stock on, and so I messaged them, and I guess it sounds like they get some items, like it'll go out of stock and then they'll place a new order or whatever. And then when it comes in, then they're back on there. So if there is something out of stock, feel free to reach out to them, and they'll let you know, hey, we're planning on getting more of those back in a couple of weeks or a month or whatever. But I don't think that anything's ever truly just gone. I don't think they retire stuff from what I can tell. It's just a matter of rebuilding their inventory. And then like Joe said, then they ship it out from there, because there are some ones on, whether it's eBay or whatever, that will ship from, directly from China or whatever. And
Mhm.
you may wait a while. So
Yeah.
these are not
Yeah.
that. These are going to be a lot quicker
Hmm.
if you're in the States, I should say. So,
Yes. Yeah.
So did you have an example or two that you wanted to show off?
I have a few, it's some fun things that we can do with them. So they sell these scarves. It's a wired scarf
Mm-hmm.
that is kind of raggedy looking and seems like meant for superheroes or anime figures. But I bought a couple of these scarves and made a little outfit for one of my skeletons.
Wow.
You know,
That works
and
great.
yeah, and I thought that was a kind of a cool look, and all I did was drape one over his shoulder and then another one around his waist, and and these are like $5 a piece,
Yeah.
super
Their
inexpensive.
prices were really good.
Yeah, for
So,
soft good, and then of course a swig.
oh, that's
And
nice.
what I liked, this shirt was for like a Marvel Legends Green Goblin,
Mm-hmm.
and it was kind of torn up and stuff like that. And I thought, and it was almost an exact color match for the actual soft goods that come with him. So that
Mm-hmm.
combined with the shirt really good. And then I got kind of this raggedy cape and got myself kind of a um, an adventurer swig. This swig has been out in the field for a while.
Yeah, I like the
And
tattered look, and it looks like
yeah,
it's even got some like maybe some dry brushing towards the bottom that makes it look
ye-
a little dirty and stuff.
yeah, it does. They put some color here at the bottom. It doesn't show up on camera great, but in person, like you can really see it. So
That's really
yeah,
cool.
that is really cool. And then this cape I put on this Kurzog, and
Wow.
it's for a Marvel Legends Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was adding some stuff to Kurzog to make him look a little bit more like a general,
Mm-hmm.
um, I thought this cape was a great fit. It was a big size, but again, the price, I don't remember the exact price, but it was very reasonable,
Mm-hmm.
for the size of it, I thought. So, and
That's super cool. Yeah, he
yeah,
looks very
so,
regal.
right. Just added
Well,
to his look a little bit. So.
and then I didn't know. So Joe had made me this figure a while back, and I didn't realize that the soft goods on this were GPS slots as well.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that one's from it was for a Batman figure, the Future Apocalypse Batman or something like that
yeah,
from
Batman v
McFarlane.
Superman, kind of, yeah, the
Yeah,
dream version. Yeah.
right. And what was cool about that one is it had short sleeves because of Batman's gauntlets, which made it
Mm-hmm.
fit perfectly for a cosmic figure. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have to bunch up the sleeves or cut the sleeve off. It was already a short sewn sleeve to get the gauntlet on.
And then you
That
said the like the scarf thing, that's also GPS slots.
and that is a GPSLot. That one is a little more expensive, but it's because it's kind of like a faux leather
Mm-hmm.
ish kind of material, but it's wired and posable and yeah,
It
that
it
was really
really
cool.
it creates this really neat look because like on the face there, I thought you had sculpted something on his face. Like I didn't like I
Oh,
obviously I knew
yeah,
this part was fabric, but the
right.
part on his face when I first got it, I thought that you had like done some sculpting work because it just I don't know, it looks very perfect the way that it
Well,
fits on there.
the fact that it's wired allows you to kind of mold it to his face so that the fit
Mm-hmm.
was like perfect for the figure, and that was what was nice about it being a wired scarf and being in kind of I live in the West, so
Mm-hmm.
cowboys and stuff, and there's a lot of banditos in Western culture
Mm-hmm.
history, and I just thought that was a neat look for an unsavory sort of character.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I love it. So
Mhm.
well, the ones that I had, so all three of these, I got all three of these ideas from Tony, and he's done, some things where he's like shown us lineup of figures and kind of talked about each one. But I wanted to do more of kind of a detailed, in-depth look at like how to apply these because some of these aren't the easiest to apply. So they make these
Right,
capes, but they don't know a lot of times what you're going to use the cape for. So, like for
right,
instance, I'm using these. I've got a Batman, a Martian Manhunter, and a Red Tornado, but you could be using them for McFarlane, you could be using them for a Mafex, you could be using them for, a DC Classics. They're not sure how you're going to use them. So depending on how you're going to use them, you may need to make some modifications, which is the case with these. So let me pull this up and throw us at the bottom. So these are the 3 looks after they were finished. So all of these are McFarlane figures, and they all had the kind of like flexible plastic vinyl-ish capes, and switched them all out for these soft good capes, which I think came out, really fantastic. They did a great job.
Oh, absolutely.
So starting off with the Batman, really on these, you just heat on, to try to get it off first. You're just heating up the cape, and you really want to kind of make sure that as you're heating it up, I use a heat gun. You could use hot water, hair dryer. If you are using a heat gun, you want to make sure that you keep it moving. You want to make sure that, you just keep it moving on there. You don't want to hold it in one spot, because what can happen is that soft plastic can kind of melt onto the other plastic, and then you got yourself a whole mess that you don't want to deal with. But you're trying to heat it up enough to kind of maybe first make it a little bit more pliable, but then also maybe kind of release some of that glue that's being held on there. So like with this one, there was a tab like in the front of the cape that you can see there. And then there's this like keyhole in the back that would go into the back of the figure. So in both of those areas, they had applied just a little bit of glue, and that's what was holding it down. So just heated it up and started prying on it carefully until it came off. And then, this was the soft good cape that I had purchased for it. Wasn't an exact color match, but I thought it was close enough. And this is what I saw Tony use as well. It was close enough that I thought that once it was on there, it would look good. And I think it does. So, and then this was, so basically they're like in the front of the figure. Let me go back here. You can't really see it on this picture. I guess I probably should have taken a better one, but above that Batman logo, there was like a little slot where that vinyl one kind of plugged in. So around that area, I put a little bit of glue. And then kind of basically what I did was I drew a line with a micro pen where that original cape kind of went across towards the shoulder, so that I got the angle right and made it, I wanted it to still have that same kind of look where it was tapering and going backwards. So I kind of just drew a line there and then applied some glue. I used a Loctite gel control glue, which is what I think Tony said he was using as well.
That's a fantastic glue.
I love it. It gives you a lot of control. It has like these buttons on the side to push that you kind of release, and it's got this really small nozzle at the end to control it. So
with regular super glue, I had this terrible habit of gluing things to my fingers.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of dexterity in these fat digits, so I would always end up dribbling glue on my fingers. And once I got the gel glue, it didn't happen anymore. It's awesome.
I did with this one. I didn't use this technique, but I picked up something from Alan from Vine Jungle Figure Factory. He said that super glue won't stick to parchment paper, which I didn't realize. So if I'm ever like
the wax coating, right?
Yeah. So if I'm ever like gluing like two like plastic pieces together and I've got to like squeeze it and hold it or whatever, I'll always kind of wrap it in parchment paper when I do it, just so that my fingers don't get stuck to it.
That is a fantastic idea. I never would have thought of that, but it completely makes sense.
Yeah, it really has helped with gluing things, especially just like, like when I do the exploded figure reviews and stuff, I take a lot of things apart that aren't necessarily meant to come apart on Legions.
Right.
So when you're gluing those back together and you're trying to hold it and stuff, it keeps you from, gluing yourself to them. But
that is a great idea. I have a lot of parchment paper. So
well, there you go. In this instance with the cloth capes, because I was kind of putting it over top of where this glue was and stuff, I wasn't so worried about that. So I didn't do that in this instance, but just a little tip out there for folks. So
a good tip. Yeah.
So I've, like I said, I drew this line, kind of put that glue down, and then I laid it over top of it. And then this was kind of the, the finished look laying down. And then this was, after I just kind of posed it and got it up there. And, their capes are all wired. And this one has, let me in big in myself for a second. So this one actually has like some wires in between. So each of these like little folds have additional wires. So it's not just the two on the outside. You actually get them all throughout. So you can create some really cool looks with it. I just was trying to create kind of a static look. So I wasn't too worried about that. But it is nice that they give you that option on some of these to have some extra, wiring in there. So
right. And the color, when it's not in super bright light, it seems to match up a lot better.
Yeah. I thought it comes out really nice. So I was pretty happy with this one. Now, out of the three that I did, this was by far the easiest because it was basically you just, pop the head off, pop the other cape off, put this one down, you're good to go. There's a neck hole in it the way that it comes. So you just kind of slide it over his neck, glue it down, and you're good. The other two were not as easy. So this is the Martian Manhunter. So the way that this figure is designed, it has the hard plastic torso. Then it has this like softer vinyl X on his chest, and then the softer vinyl cape. And then it's got these like plugs that go in there for like the little gold medallions on his chest that hold the cape down. And those go all the way through both pieces of vinyl and into the hard plastic. Okay. So what you have to do is heat this up and start kind of slowly prying it off. And you'll see, so, here you've got the yellow or the gold, medallion, and you've got the cape popped out of the chest and out of the X vinyl, but the medallion is still stuck into the cape. So we'll get that out in a second. And then I started working on the second one, and you can see as I started heating up and working on the second one, it was really, the cape was attached to that red vinyl on the X, and it started pulling that off. And so you got to be really careful. And I actually had to end up using an X-Acto knife and cutting some of this so I didn't rip that X off of his chest. So you just got to be real careful with this stuff. Once again, make sure that when you're heating it up, you don't heat it, hold it in one spot to where it melts all this stuff together. You really want to just heat it up enough to kind of free it. So I had to work a little carefully with this, but I eventually did get that off. At this point, the medallions are still stuck in the cape. And then I just worked on, slowly getting those out of there. Same kind of thing. I just heated it up. I would try to pry it a little bit, heat it up some more, pry it a little bit until those clips came out completely, and you can see them there in that picture. So now came the hard part. So
and just for using an X-Acto knife, again, just like the glue, I've cut myself with X-Acto knives so many times trying to do this kind of stuff. And my work recently switched to they call them cut gloves. And what it is that you can actually get like on Amazon and stuff and buy gloves that have a cut rating to them. So that you're able, they're
you still have dexterity and stuff with
now, if you you can get ones that are like that are, I don't know what you would call it, like a stretchy material that just have a rubber coating, and the rubber coating is what gives them the cut resistance.
Gotcha.
And now you could take a knife and jab it into your hand and it would cut you. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not stab resistant. It's slice resistant.
It's not like a chainmail glove. It's not meant to stop sword attacks. So please don't think that you're impervious to being cut. Like, but it is nice for those slips and things like that. So that's something that I use now when I'm cutting on things, just so that I'm not slicing my fingers up. So.
Yeah, and you want to make sure that you're always using a sharp blade. If your blade starts to get dull and it starts catching, that's where you're going to try to apply more pressure, and that's when things bad can typically happen. So just make sure you're using a sharp blade. Be careful, and if those gloves can work out for you, that'd be awesome. So
absolutely.
So then, because they don't know how you're going to utilize these, they don't have like pre-made holes in the spots that you're going to need them. So you have to kind of put the cape on the figure and see like where it would make sense to have these holes. So like for this one, because I'm putting these, medallions through there to attach, because he's still supposed to have those medallions on his chest. So I still want that look. and it's a way to attach the cape and hold it on there. So you kind of have to find a spot. And basically what I did was I made a mark with a micro pen first. I put the very tip of my X-Acto in there, kind of twisted it a little bit. And then I grabbed just like an ink pen, a big ink pen, and started kind of pushing it through and making the hole bigger. Worked it a little bit more with my X-Acto, Bic, make it bigger, and kind of so on and so forth until it got, open enough that I could slip that medallion peg through there. But it just took some patience and time. So you just got to work at it.
I have a metal hole punch that I use to make holes, and it's a smaller one. It's not like your classic binder size hole punch, but the trick to that is that the material has to be pulled tight. You can't just hold it and hole punch it. It won't always give a clean hole. But if you I'll put something heavy on the bottom part of the cape and stretch it tight, and the hole punch will just pop. Usually a perfect, like for Mythic Legion's pauldrons, like a perfect size hole for them.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that next time, because this was a little bit of a challenge. So, but this is kind of what it looked like, not on the figure, but with that medallion in. And then, once I got both sides in there, then it was just a matter of attaching it. So just put, you can see that hole in the chest there, like on the bottom one on the X. And just had to put a little bit of glue in there and then push them in, and hold them until it's set. And then this was what it finished up looking like. Really create this great look. I love Martian Manhunter has this big kind of collar piece that sticks up and folds down like that. And I thought it just was a really great look. They did a great job on it.
He's great for fighting crime or going to the disco.
You go. And the top of that too, that collar, I'll big on myself for a second. The collar on that, it's like there's I don't know if it's cardboard or what, because it's bendy, but it's got some, I don't know, maybe it's metal. I don't know what it is in here, but they've got something firm that kind of holds that whole collar to where you can kind of shape it a little bit and it will hold its shape. So they've got something going on in there too that really is nice for that. Well, so it's not just like a floppy material with a wire on the end. It really is, kind of got this firm thing all around it. So, and then that was the finished look on that guy. So
awesome.
2 for 2. And then last one was this red tornado one. And this one was definitely the most difficult. So he also has kind of this medallion thing, but it's a softer plastic. So it's got this what's supposed to look like, I guess, like a chain in between the two medallions. So that whole thing is a softer plastic. So as you're working through this and trying to get it off of there, a lot of this is all the same material and it's not wanting to come off. It was just, a lot of heat, work at it. And then it left a whole bunch of stuff in the chest, like from the cape and stuff. And it was not going to, like, if I took the cape off and then tried to put those medallions back on, they stuck up maybe like a quarter of an inch. So there was just a lot of space there. So I actually had to work to try to get some of this out. So what I did was I got out my Dremel with a small little diamond cut bit, and then just started slowly working at that, dremeling it away, until I got, most of that blue stuff out of there. And then once I did, then I was able to, put on the wired cape and, put the medallions in and go from there. And this one, like I said, this was a lot more difficult because I had that softer medallion piece, but also because unlike the Martian Manhunter, this like comes across the shoulders and kind of goes a little bit tighter in on the chest. And you've got one piece, like it's not two separate medallions that you're putting in one and then you can put in the other. Like you kind of have to put them in together. I still put in one side, but then you have to wrap the cape around and then try to get the other side in and hope you've given yourself enough slack.
Right.
One thing I did find that helped on this was if you take the arms off, kind of gives you a little bit more room to work. And then after you've got it attached, you can lift up that cape, pop the arms back in. That helped out a little bit.
Gotcha. So, that's like the carpentry thing. Measure twice, cut once.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was kind of what it looked like as I attached the medallions and that little kind of gold chain across there. And then it was just a matter of I, put the arms back in, pulled the cape, kind of the way I wanted to, fix the collar, and then this was that like final look on that. And then this was the picture that I took. He does come with like this. Let me move us over to the side. Let's see. He comes with this like little tornado base thing that he stands on. And it just, helps to create this really cool look. And then I had to like spin around in my room to determine, okay, if he's spinning this way, which way is his cape gonna go? It was like, yeah, I was like doing a Linda Carter fucking Wonder Woman in my room.
Right.
But
you could have just wrapped it around his head and then been like, that's what happens in a tornado.
Yeah. So, and then this was the three together. So, the three capes, I mean, they came out phenomenal. I did wait a little bit on this because the Batman and the Red Tornado were in stock, but the Martian Manhunter, they were out of stock. And I messaged them probably a month or so ago. And it was like, they had a purple one because there's two versions of this Martian Manhunter for McFarlane. They've got one with a blue cape, one with a purple cape. And they had the purple one in, but I really didn't want the purple. I wanted the blue. And so I messaged them and said, hey, are you getting this back in or whatever? They're like, yeah, but it's going to be, about a month or so. And so I just kept the other two in my cart and I'd forgotten about them actually. And then I think at one point they messaged me and said it was back in stock. And then I went in and bought all three of them. And like I said, within like 4 days, they were here. And I think these look so much better now. I know, I've done a couple of, on Sunday, we do a show called Shooting the Shelf on the Just Shelve It channel. And I've done a couple of Tony's picks for shelf selections, which is where we kind of highlight somebody from Instagram. And people are amazed that these are McFarlane figures once you get these soft good capes on them. It just so much transforms these characters that it doesn't look like a $20-something, retail figure anymore. So
yeah, the plastic capes, they don't look bad, but they're definitely meant for a static pose. And these just a little bit of soft goods can make a figure look so much more dynamic. Even like Batman's not in a real action pose there, but the way that the cape is around him and things like that, it
still has some movement.
Yeah.
So. And lately we have started getting like, this is a newer McFarlane figure where they are starting to give us these like soft good capes, which is nice. I like that they're doing that, but it's a much thinner material and so it's not quite the same quality as what you're getting like from the GPSLot. So
right, is that one wired? Also,
this one is wired, yeah. But it's got one wire on the side and on each side. It doesn't have anything on the bottom.
On the bottom,
so you can create some looks with it, but you can't create kind of like all the looks that you'd want. But I love the fact that from the retail versions, we're starting to get some of these soft good capes. But I got to say just these ones that I've gotten from GPSLots, a lot better quality.
In
terms of material and posing.
You could get one from GPSLot for that figure that is much larger, so you could get a way more dramatic pose, like a comic book cover type pose on him on your shelf. That would look amazing. So
and all the pricing on each of those capes, I believe it was like $17 or $18 for each one and free shipping. So not too bad at all for that. No. I think the three of them together cost me like $50-something, which is, I thought, excellent. I mean, there's a lot of soft good places. I'm not going to name names, but there's some where you see like, they're like, oh, we got a sale going on. And you go and look and you're like, that one piece is like $100. Like, holy cow. Like I can't justify that. But yeah, these are pretty affordable and really transform the look of that figure. So
absolutely.
Beautiful.
And just a ton to choose from. Like,
for sure.
If you're into Legions or McFarlane or just about any toy, I think you could find something on there. There's like holsters for soft good holsters where they're made of like a faux leather that look great on military figures and just just a ton of things to choose from. Sometimes I'll just sit for like an hour and browse through their entire stock just to see what they've got.
Yeah, because if you go to on there, there's a thing where you can like see, it says like see sellers other items, and that'll like take you to their like storefront and stuff. And they've got so much stuff. It's like ridiculous. But yeah, good quality stuff. Highly recommended. And you know, sometimes on these things, you know, we talk about with customizing, it doesn't take much to change the look of a figure. It could be some easy dry brushing, could be a head swap. In this case, adding some soft goods, and then you've got a completely different figure, you know? So mess around with it, see what you come up with. Anything else, Joe? Any other advice or things that you would share with the folks?
I don't think so. Just have fun with it. You know, that was like with the skeleton and the scarves, you know, these are just some scarves, but you know, have some fun. A scarf can be a belt or you know, a face mask for a cowboy, or you know, a lot of these soft goods, you know, have more than one use if you just have fun with it. So
yeah, I mean, I saw a cape. It was from it wasn't from GPSLots. It was from a different place, but it was supposed to be for I think McFarlane Aries figure. Or no, it was for Storm Collectible. I don't know. It was a bigger figure, but it was like a DC character. And I ended up putting it on an ogre and it looked fantastic. So, you know, have some imagination with it too. Just because it says it's for a particular type of character doesn't mean that's what you have to use it for. You know, like Joe said,
like I said, this was a Marvel Legends Apocalypse, like Build-A-Figure cape. And I think it added a lot to Kurzog. So,
or you can take scarves and turn them into like, you know, a torso covering and skirt. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, have some imagination, play around and see what you come up with. But
absolutely.
Appreciate you being on, Joe. And folks,
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Folks, play around with some soft goods. If you try something based on something you saw in this video, make sure you tag Joe and myself. We'd love to see what you come up with. And until next time, folks, keep creating.